In this video, we'll be going over how to georeference an existing image without a projection to where it actually goes in the real world. Much like for our soils lab that we'll be working on, where we have a scanned image of a hard copy map, basically from the soil book, we'll need to georeference it or tell it where it needs to go, give it a projection in where in the real world. To do this, we use a new toolbar called Georeferencing, and we do this in an ArcMap environment. So we start with a blank or an empty project in ArcMap, just like you see in front of you, and we right-click anywhere in this gray area, and we go down to Georeferencing and left-click next to it. As you can see, we have a new toolbar. The next step is to add in our base layer data. What are we going to georeference to? What's our source area? So we want to go to Add Data, and the directory structure you see in front of you is going to be a little bit different than what is on the Joshua 2 drive. Basically, you'll go to the Joshua 2 drive, Bock folder, Data, and then Shapefiles. And there should be a Webster Co _ TWN RNG SEC shapefile. That stands for the Webster County Township Section and Range. That's our grid system we're going to use to match our image to. So I want to add that. Turn on, you can see all of our sections within each township and range of Webster County. Now I'm going to change the symbology a little bit and add some labels. So we'll go to the properties of this layer. And I'm already on my labels tab, so I'm going to change my text string label field to SEC. That stands for my section number. I'll make it a little bit bigger, make it 12, and bold it, and turn the label on. And then I want to go to my symbology tab, and I want to make it each polygon hollow with a colored outline. So I'm going to turn the fill color off, say no color, and I want to probably like a purple or orange or red, some kind of color that stands out, because our image is black and white and another image we're using is black and white, so we want to see what we'll make this layer stand out a little bit more since we're going to be matching to its corners. So I'm going to beef up the outline width as well, maybe like a 2. I'll say OK, then say OK. And now we have outlines of our sections with which section number it corresponds to. We also have an index layer. The soils book that I was telling you during the last class, each soils page is an 11 by 17 map. And it's about 43 pages, and to know where each student's map section resides, we need an index layer. So I have one that's already been georeferenced, so I want to go back to my Add Data, and I want to go up a level, and I want to go to Scans folder, and then Soil Scans, and you should see a map _ index _ new. Click on that and say Add. And I can turn that on. And you see it lines up with our section, township, and range grid. I'm going to turn our grid off just briefly. And these are the individual pages or maps that are within the book. And they're numbered 1 through 43. What I've done is I've scanned probably about 6 or 8 of these pages, and then I've gone through and spliced them into thirds. So each student will be getting a third of one of these pages that you'll have to georeference and then digitize the data off of. So you'll be creating layers. That'll be in another video. So for this example, or this video, I'm going to be focusing on map 6, panel A. So panel 6A. I'm going to zoom to that area. And I like to set a bookmark because I'm going to be going back and forth between this and the actual scanned image that I'll load in shortly. So I'll go to Bookmarks, Create, And I'm just going to call this map section. Say OK. And then we're going to add a new layer in. So I'm going to add data. And I'm looking for panel 6A, underscore new. I'm going to say add. You can see we have a new image that's been added to our table of contents. I'm going to go ahead and leave it above my map index because I'm trying to match it to this area. But I'm also now going to turn on my township section and range grid because that's what I'm actually going to match to. You see these sections don't quite match up, and that's okay. It could be just due to distortion of the scan of the index map. It may not have been drawn exactly to scale. So many different factors included, but it's on pretty good. It's good enough for what we need it for. I'm going to turn on my image I just added in. And you see nothing comes up on the screen because it doesn't have a projection to it, so the system just throws it out basically in BFE for now. But I can right click on it and go zoom to layer, and there you can see the third of a map section. This is the first section. And I'll go to bookmarks, hit create. I'm going to call this panel 6A. Alrighty. On this panel, what we're going to do is use the section corners. There are section corners within each of these panels. They may be not in the same place on everybody's map, but wherever you see a tick mark, I'll zoom in on this a little bit more. This tick mark indicates a corner of a section. And here's our section number. So this tick mark indicates the northwest corner of section 35. Here would be the southeast corner of section 35 or the southwest corner of 36. So each section has corners. There and there. These are what our control points we're going to use to match back to our township section and range grid in the other viewport. So what I like to do is choose a minimum of 4 control points that we're going to match with, and it's best to select them fairly distributed throughout your map. So like in this case, I'd use my 4 corners here on the map. So we have this one, should be one over here. You may not have some at the bottom, so I'm going to go up a level, and there's one here and then one over here. So we'll start off with this northwest furthest section corner. Zoom in on that. And when I zoom in kind of close, doesn't have to be right on, but enough so you can see it. And now I want to start using my georeferencing bar. We must make sure that our layer is set to the panel that we're trying to georeference. So I'm going to pull that down and select panel 6A underscore new. That's the one I want to change. I don't want to affect that map index because that's already got a projection to it. So once our layer is set to our panel, then we grab our add control points. And again, we want a minimum of 4 control points. And that really for this lab is all you should need. So I'm going to click that to activate it. And I'm going to come over here and try and get as close in the center as possible. Left click to add my first control point. I'm going to go to bookmarks and go to map section. Now remember, we're in section 35, the northwest corner. So I want to go zoom to my map section. And okay, here's panels, or here's map 6. I'm going to be in this section here because I know I'm in panel A. So there's section 35. I want to zoom in on that section. And I'm wanting the northwest corner of section 35. It's going to be this corner here. So I'm going to click back on my add control point, and you can see there's a line coming across the screen. That means I've got a point that started from, and it's looking for an ending destination. Just going to try and get, I may have to zoom in a little bit more. And I want to try and get as close in that center as possible. I'm going to left click. Alrighty. So I just hit my back zoom button. This is where by default georeferencing turns on auto adjust. It comes down to personal preference. Some people like it to adjust there. I like to go back and forth. So I'm going to turn auto adjust off and then update display. Excuse me. Reset transformation. That's what I meant. Then reset transformation. You see this blue line. That's just showing the connection between this panel 6 image and where it's going to go. So now I'm going to go back to my bookmark to panel 6. See, there's that blue line connecting back in. And I'm going to go to my other corner. And I'm going to do the same process. Click my add control point as close to the center as possible. I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit to find out what section I'm in. Okay, I'm on the northeast corner of section 36. So then I'll go to my bookmarks, go back to my map section. Remember, I want the northeast corner of section 36. Here's my map, section 6. Here's 36. Zoom into that northeast corner. Left click. And do this process for all 4 corners. Again, I don't have one right at the very bottom, so I'm going to come up to here on this one. And I'm in section 11, northwest corner. Click on that center. Go back to my bookmarks, map section. Here's 11. It's kind of hard to see with this stream underneath it. I'm going to turn that off so you can see. Here's 11, and we were in the northwest corner. I'll zoom in a little bit more in that northwest corner. Go back to my add control point. Click there, and I got one more to do. And I'm going to go zoom in here. So I'm in section 12. I want to go to the northeast corner of section 12. Zoom a little bit closer in section 12. Go back to my add control point tool. Click on the center of that X, or that plus sign I should say. Then go back to my map section. And I'm going to be going to the northeast corner of section 12. I zoom in a little bit closer on that. Grab my control point button. Left click. I'm going to scoot this guy over. And I'm going to turn that map index back on. Okay, so you can see I've got 4 different points, and they're all pretty evenly distributed. Now I can come up to my georeferencing menu, pull that down and say auto adjust. As you can see, our map panel pulls in. I can zoom in on it and kind of check the boundaries of, like, because my index did have the streams and roads, I can kind of check its alignment. And it's matching up fairly well. I've got a stream coming in here, and there's a stream that picks up. Here's a stream here. See, it continues on, Gibbons Branch. Another stream here, and then we have a road that comes in. So it's matched up fairly well. Our control points are matched up on our section corners. So now we've georeferenced our panel 6A image to where it should really go in the real world. Now all we have to do is tell the system to save. So we want to go to georeferencing and say update georeferencing. And that's actually going to create a projection file so that you can load this in any time. So now if I remove this guy and I go to add data and find panel 6A, he's going to draw where he should, because he now has a projection assigned to him. It's reading the projection off of existing layers that it's matched to. And that's how we georeference an image. Maybe you have a paper map that you need to scan in, or you've clipped an aerial from Google Earth online, taken any online data, and you're trying to bring it into your map project, but it doesn't have a projection assigned to it, so the system's not going to know where to put it. This allows you to tell it where it's going to go, and that's georeferencing.